get his takeaways on what he saw.
Big Sills, big Sills, big Sills. You know what's so funny, Sills? Really quickly before you ask, you know what's so funny? Eagles fans, and I'm one of them, by the way. You know, we love to pretend like you're saying the most blasphemous things, but the reality is the way you're discussing the team is how we talk about the team in our own household. The way you talk about the team is how my dad talk about the team. My dad doesn't accept anything less but a touchdown. He sees a field goal, he's snapping on somebody. You know what I mean? So, like, you know, sometimes in the live chat, I notice it and I read it a lot. You know, we can get defensive as Eagles fans. We're so defensive. We're so protective of our guys, Sills.
But I admire that, and I like that. And I like, but
we're critical too.
I like that. I like that. But here's the difference. It's one thing to be talking about the Bears right now.
Oh, God.
It's another thing to be talking about a team that's in line to potentially win the Super Bowl.
Right.
And right now, this is about polishing the Mona Lisa. This is about doing the pietà. This is like not chipping away big chips. This is polishing to try to figure out if this football team can maybe get across the finish line. By the way, I said it in the open here. I think the Eagles are more of a tougher out than Kansas City is. I think Kansas City is exceptionally beatable. I do not think that football team is the football team it was a year ago. The Eagles are a tougher beat. I think it's tougher to knock them off than it is Kansas City. I mean, Kansas City's got a lot of spots on that football team that need to have a lot of addressing. Now, again, the Jets have a great defense, so I take that into account. It's on the road and all that, but let me get your takeaways on what you saw on Sunday against the Commanders.
Oh, man. So, at least for me, I saw a team that struggled in the area that I think you can win and lose football games, and that's first and third down. To me, I feel like the Philadelphia Eagles didn't win first down early enough. And on top of that, I felt like I saw a team that lacked discipline in the biggest of moments. And you can't have that when you're going up against a divisional opponent, an opponent that knows you very well. And maybe that's why they fell short in that area with the penalties. I don't know. But I saw a team that is – I see a team that's still figuring out the passing game. The passing game improved, but it's still not exactly where I want it to be yet. I still felt like I saw Hurts – miss certain guys in certain moments. But again, in the second half, he was lights out, in my humble opinion.
I thought he was way better in the second half than in the first half.
Yeah, definitely. Well, without a shadow of a doubt. The Eagles' defense, this was their worst game by far. Because if you ask me, the windows that Sam Howell was throwing the ball through were so wide open. There were moments where he threw the ball to Terry McLaurin or Curtis Samuel, and I saw no Eagles defenders. I saw no green jerseys. So this defense still has a lot to work on in the long run.
I would say this to you too. The play calling on both sides of the football, I mean, and you know what? Maybe it was just kind of like an obscure moment that people didn't see in the game, but like, why would you give the lesser team an opportunity on 3rd and 1? Mm-hmm. Where you stop them on the 3rd and 1, Tone, make them decline the penalty, make them go 4th and 1. Would they have kicked it or would they have gone for it? And if they don't get it, it really doesn't matter because what did you do? You still had a moment where you were in a situation where it was a compatible 3rd down where you could get it. They complete it because you're playing off the ball. If you're going to do that, move those corners up on the guy. Don't give him a rhythm throw. What did they do? They backed up 10 yards. Then they backed up to 5 yards to make it 3rd and 6. And I'm like, why didn't you press up so that you don't have a rhythm throw? They got 10 yards back. It was just pitch and catch. I'm like, that's not a way to go about. Here. Remember what we said on Friday, Two-Tone? It was either a 31-17 game or 28-20. That's what I thought it was.
Yeah, I thought it was 34-21. And
it was a short work week, right?
But one day, I mean.
Divisional opponent. You had all that going there. They had beaten you a year ago. And, Tone, I look at the numbers that Washington had individually. Howell had 290, 5th start ever. I don't see anything really exceptional on that sheet. 86 yards by McLaurin. Okay. But it was just like the remedy on how to slow that team down.
Yeah, if you notice, Washington literally played the same game plan as they did last year in that final game. Run the ball, stay disciplined. Even if we're averaging 2 or 3 yards a carry, still run the ball, keep them honest, try to force them to make as many mistakes as possible, sustain drives, limit their possessions. And they did just that. The only difference in last year's loss and this year's win is turnovers. That's the only difference. And the Eagles turned the ball over like 3 or 4 times last year in that Washington matchup. So when you think about it from that perspective, they still could have won that game last year. But this year, again, you brought up a really good point. For me, I'm having a hard time understanding why you have your DBs playing so far off the line of scrimmage when you know this quarterback struggles to get the ball out on time. You know Eric Bieniemy set the tone early in that game. He made it very clear that his goal was to get that ball out of Sam Howell's hands in less than 2 seconds, and at least between 2 and 2.5 seconds. Sam Howell did just that. You know, it comes to a point in time where you just got to give credit to the play caller. You got to give credit to the team. You got to give credit to the quarterback, because at the end of the day, I mean, you played in the league, you played professionally, played in college. There's some guys you played with and played against that you probably wouldn't draft in your fantasy team, but they had that one game where you were like, damn, they showed up. So I think Sam Howell, you know, honestly, you know, he showed up, and I got to give credit where credit is due. But at the same time, that Eagles defense did not play as well as I thought they would. We got 5 sacks on him, but it almost felt like we didn't get any because the way he got that ball out so fast.
Absolutely. And LJ, you're right. Washington does always play, because it's a divisional opponent, always does play like every other divisional opponent, always plays the Eagles tough. And here's what I mean, you knew, if you were anybody watching that, if you like, there's no question that the Eagle defense and the side broke that Buffalo game down. Buffalo destroyed them. How? They press cornered them. They were pressing the receivers, okay, on Washington defensively with Sean McDermott. They were not giving that guy rhythm throws. So what did the Eagles do? You knew they were going to get that ball out of his hand. You know what made that O-line play well for Washington? It wasn't the players. It was Bieniemy putting him in a position to get that ball out on time. If you watch Fletcher Cox was dish-ragging that guy like a bag of potatoes in there, that number 72. He was killing that guy. Yeah, and you're sitting there going, it's a complete mismatch. But the play calling that they had in the game, in my opinion, it kept them in the ball game. Remember something. This game came down to a decision and a field goal in OT. In my opinion, if you're Ron Rivera, I don't know what you think here with this, but you have the lesser team. It's a divisional opponent. The next game, Eagles are going to play 10 times better against you, because they're going to know what you're going to do now with Sam Howell. There's tape on him. You had a chance to win a ball game on the road in your division, and you didn't go for 2. As a player, to tell me I'm gassed, the Eagle defense was gassed. They just drove all the way down the field on them.
I don't believe that. To say you were gassed, that makes no sense to me. It's a 2 or 3 yard play you got to get. Like, really, you're gassed. You don't have to go upfield. You know, the way I saw that situation was, when they scored that, first of all, AJ Brown cannot get a penalty right there. You cannot do that. You allowed that team to you basically lessened the load of work they had to do.
Put a scar on his day.
Exactly, they did. But beyond that, right? Okay, they drive down the field, they scored a touchdown. Should have never happened, but it happened. Okay, Ron Rivera has an opportunity to go for the win or take it into OT. He made a mistake. Like you said, you're going up against a better team in overtime. They lucky they won the toss, but still couldn't do nothing with it. But the bottom line is, you have an opportunity to steal a game. And let me bring it to you from this perspective, right? I knew he would have kicked the field. I knew he was going to kick the field goal, but at the same time, I felt like you got to go for 2 though. Now, let me put you this way. It's a reason why he didn't do this. And this is my reason why he did. This is what I think. Think about last season with Brian Daboll, right? New head coach, first game of the year. They're going up against the Tennessee Titans. He just, he looked around, asked his team, should we go for 2? Should we go for the win? His team said, hell yeah. So at that point, he goes for the win. They win the game. It sets the tone for their entire season. They go on to make a playoff run. They lost. They beat the Vikings though, but they lost to us. But they managed to show that they managed to show that they believe in their coach, right? And let me bring it over to Ron Rivera. Ron Rivera, the difference between him and Daboll, Ron Rivera didn't have the latitude that Daboll had. Dayball is a new coach. He's trying to set the tone for his team. He can pretty much do whatever he wants no matter what happens. Ron Rivera, he's in a situation with the Washington Commanders. He knows he's on the hot seat. He knows Eric Bieniemy is next in line to take his job. So in his mind, he's trying to play it safe. And that's why they lost that game. He got too safe when it mattered most, and he was afraid to put his balls on the table.
So you think that he had the situation where
he got tight.
The enemy breathing down his neck for his job.
He got tight.
Yeah.
He got tight.
Yep.
And that's exactly what happened in my humble opinion. I think
his nickname is Riverboat Ron for a reason.
Right. You go against your instinct. You go against your better nature to play it safe against a team that you know that's better than you.
Yep.
I think he made a critical mistake just to save himself.
I think that could be a job costing play right there, because they could be under 500 because of not going for it in that situation there. Tone, tell me if you agree or disagree.
Okay.
When I watched Jalen Hurts play, that was the first game, more so in the second half. Like I said, that 3rd and 11, man, I just was like, God, that's what makes him so tough to defend. Yeah. Dude, the 54-yarder was a great play, but to me, the play that stuck out in my mind, they had him for an 8-yard sack. I mean, that was going to be a critical part of the game. And he breaks out and he gets the first down with his wheels, and he gets through. And I'm like this, how many times did we see him sliding, pre-sliding? And I'm like, it just looks like.
Didn't that seem like that was the first time that he said, you know what, screw the contract, I'm going to play football? Didn't it seem like that?
Second half.
Yeah. It seemed like he said, you know what, screw everything else they're telling me, I'm going to play football. And I think that's what that was. One of my favorite plays. That was a great pull by you. You know, that run was huge. It broke Darrell's back, like you said. One of my favorite plays. It came on the drive when he threw, I believe, the touchdown to AJ Brown. It was a 4th quarter, 2 minutes 34 seconds left, 3rd and 8, and the game was tied 24-24. Hurts threw the perfect pass, and he needled it between 2 Washington defenders to find Olamide Zaccheaus for an 11-yard pickup on 3rd down. After he tried to hit Olamide on the play before, that was arguably his best throw of the afternoon, because the pressure that he was feeling, being able to stand tall in a pocket, the footwork, and just the ability to trust your arm and trust your receiver to make that play. He threw that ball in the mailbox, and like you said, his completion percentage is starting to get higher and higher every single year. Now, sure, I don't think Jalen Hurts is the most talented thrower in the league. I don't think so. I just don't. I don't think he's the most talented thrower. But I think at this point in his career, he's one of the more efficient throwers. And I spoke about this earlier with the Sports Take guys, Derek Gunn and Rob Ellis. I think arm strength is overrated.
Completely.
For me, it's all about, can you get the ball from point A to point B? Can I trust you? Right? You know, Josh Allen has a bigger arm, right? But Joe Burrow, people think he's more accurate. People think he's a better talent because he has it on a string. But Burrow isn't playing well right now. But the bottom line is, I think Hurts, what he does for the Philadelphia Eagles, he's only going to get better and better at doing it. And I really think Jalen Hurts is one of the better quarterbacks in this league right now. One of the best.
Can I tell you that I think you have to coach Josh Allen more than you do Hurts?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You have to coach him more. And I think that's what's happened after that Jets game, that he needs more coaching, because the things he's doing now, they're not doing a lot of the plus 25 plays. Mm-hmm. They're kind of holding him in. So to me, they're kind of putting more guardrails on him. I think they have these kind of preserving guardrails on Hurts where, like you said, here's just maybe I'm making more of it, Tone, but do you think 40% of the targets should be going to one guy?
I look at it like this. You're paying A.J. Brown $25 million a year, right? Okay. Devontae Smith, he's still in his rookie contract. What
about Goddard?
Now, Goddard, you are paying him big money as well for the position. I'm highly disappointed in Brian Johnson for not being able to get Dallas Goddard involved. That's the one indictment on Brian Johnson that I just can't I can't let go. I think it's blasphemous. I think it's criminal to have a guy that talented on your offense and you don't know how to get him the ball. The route concepts they have him running is absolutely unacceptable. I don't want to see Dallas Goedert running in the flat. I don't want to see Dallas Goedert, running a bubble screen. I'm tired of seeing Dallas Goedert run these short little, grab 1, 2, 3 yard routes. I'm tired of that. I need to see Dallas Goedert in the intermediate. You know what I'm saying? Like Dallas Goedert is so talented. He's more athletic than linebackers. He's bigger than safeties. You know, he has one of the better hands on this team. It's an indictment on Nick Sirianni and Brian Johnson that Dallas Goedert has less than 100 yards through 4 games. It makes absolutely no sense.
I'll tell you this. The linebacker play the last 2 weeks for the Eagles, I think it puts them in a pretty a pretty tough situation with Dean coming back now because dude, that's Zach Cunningham, man. He must have had 20 tackles yesterday. And the way that Morrow played too, I mean, that had to have been one of his better pro football games he's ever played in his entire NFL career.
Absolutely.
I mean, to me, do you just really take a guy out who's missed an entire 4 weeks, all of preseason, and you put that guy back at the Mike linebacker? Man, I don't know, man. I mean, to me, I got something that's cooking. Are you really going to take – are you going to take the bone out of the soup now because you think that the soup's okay with this piece that goes into the soup, and you know it's going to be great here and it tastes good right now? Are you really going to change that recipe up?
I'll be honest with you. This is a decision that I struggle with, but I'm not emotional about it. A lot of people love Nakobe Dean. I like Nakobe Dean. You know, he was a great talent in college. He's great to root for. Smart kid, humble kid. You know, he's a good dude. You know what I'm saying? But this ain't got nothing to do with his personality, right? He ain't dating my daughter. So I ain't worried about none of that. The reality is you have 2 guys in Zach Cunningham and Nicholas Morrow who figured it out.
Yeah.
They're
playing as a tandem.
They're playing as a tandem and they're working with each other. Now, Nicholas Morrow, he's clearly motivated. He got cut and he finally got his opportunity. So he's clearly playing with a chip on his shoulder.
Didn't even make the team in the opening roster.
Didn't even make the team. So and if I'm being honest, I'm not going to change what's working. Ever since those 2 got together, tight ends have not been killing the Eagles. They haven't.
Correct. So it's like first game.
Right. So we have to take our feelings and emotions out of it. As much as we like a guy, how are your linebackers performing right now? And you have to ask yourself, what can Nakobe Dean provide that they haven't already provided? What can Nakobe Dean do that they're not doing? The Philadelphia Eagles still are stopping the run. They're still forcing turnovers. The tight ends have actually begun to hurt us much less. So when you think about it from that perspective, why would I mess up the chemistry? It's almost like you're setting yourself back. It's like you're taking 2 steps back to take 1 step forward. And I'm not a fan of that. These 2 guys are working well. I'm all about what's working. My emotions aren't going to drive this. So, again, Nicholas Morrow, Zach Cunningham, why break it or why fix it if it ain't broke? That's how I'm looking at it. And I like Dean. This ain't got nothing to do with emotions, Eagles fans. My emotions are not about – emotions don't win chips. Emotions don't do that. Emotions don't fix the defense. Right now, the problem with defense is on the backside. Originally, it was the linebackers. They're playing better. So if you can get healthy, get those, get the backside guys right, the safeties in the corners, get those guys right. Now your defense is going to start cooking with fish grease because your D-line's doing their thing. The linebackers are playing better and defending tight ends much better. Now you get those safeties healthy. You get those corners healthy. Then your defense is going to get better. I think this is going to be a season-long project for this Philadelphia Eagles defense.
We said this. This was going to take until around week 8 where you were going to start to see something that turned into a green apple here.
We talked about it all offseason, Sills. Like the reality is there's this defense. We knew this defense was not going to be as good as the offense, but they came out a little further ahead than the offense. So we kind of got a little spoiled too soon.
Defense. That's what kind of skewed it was the run defense, and everybody was going like, holy crap here. I'll tell you, I got a prediction about Reed Blankenship.
I like
that guy may not make the year. Let me tell you why.
I like him.
Because he reminds me of Bob Sanders. You know what Bob Sanders' problem was? He hit people so hard and he played so hard, he couldn't stay on the field because that guy plays with reckless abandon. And you know what, Tone? I don't know if he's big enough to withstand because he plays like he's 6'5". You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
he plays like he's 6'5".
I like that dude though, man. Like Reed
No, I'm not saying.
No. I feel you though. He's so physical. He's so physical.
You see his arm, how black and blue it was?
Yo, that thing looked like somebody beat him with a baseball bat.
Seriously, I thought he was going to have to have it amputated after the game. I couldn't believe how black and blue that thing was. Yeah. Tough kid, plays hard.
You notice how many open field tackles he makes in the backfield? Like he just
really got great pursuit angles.
He's magnetic. Like once he gets a line on you,
yeah,
it's really fun to watch.
He really has a great pursuit angle. So you like where they are now, then?
So to put it in perspective, right?
In closing,
in closing, we talked about this team pretty much top to bottom. They're 4-0. They got by the Patriots on the road. They beat the Vikings at home. They got by Tampa Bay on the road. Then they just beat the Washington Commanders at home. I look at it from this perspective. We knew this team was going to have growing pains early on. And the reality is they're coming off of the Super Bowl, and a lot of teams don't really do well coming off of it. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the Philadelphia Eagles are the first team since the 70s or since the Green Bay Packers to be 4-0 after losing the Super Bowl. So they're trending in the right direction, but there's still deficiencies on the defense side of the ball that need to get ironed out. Again, I talked about this when you have new coordinators, and I think Joe Theismann really spoke this to power. With coordinators, it's not really about the talent that you're worried about. You're worried about the situational. You're worried about the situational football. You're worried about the feel for the game.
And you saw that in that game.
And throughout the past 4 weeks, you've seen that there was a clear difference in the way Brian Johnson feels the game versus the way Shane Steichen feels the game. You see there's a clear-cut difference in the way Sean Desai maximizes personnel and Jonathan Gannon not so much. So I think when it comes to this offense and defense in totality, when it comes to this team, this is going to be a season-long product that, like you said, we're going to continue to chip away at this. And this is something that the wrinkles have to get ironed out little by little. But as long as you're winning in the process, I can work with it. But when you start losing and you're trying to figure things out, that's when things get a little spooky. But they're winning. So far, so good. But I'm really curious to see how they fare against Miami. I got to be honest. I already got that marked as a loss against Miami. That's just where I'm at. I got Miami marked as a loss. And other than that, I think the Eagles can win any other game. I just think Miami's just a bad matchup for them. Styles make fights.
Yeah, especially when you allow Sam Howell to complete like 70% of his passes.
Yeah. But overall, I feel good about them. Overall, I feel good. I do feel good about them, but I can tell that they are clearly working things out. Jalen Hurts is getting better as a pass as the year goes. His yardage is going up. His completion percentage is going up. Efficiency is going up. I think he's settling in. I think against the Rams, you see him have another 300-yard. Maybe I think against the Rams, you see him go for 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, and maybe a rushing touchdown too. I think he's ready to blow now.
I think the Rams are going to put some points on that defense because I think the Rams' offense is better than Washington.
Now, the only thing I'll say is about that is
Cooper Kupp coming back and the other kid on the other side.
I'm not sure where Cooper Kupp will be in terms of game speed, but I do like that. I do like that guy. I do like those 2 rookies they have, Puka and Tutu Atwell. Yeah, Puka, it's Paku or something like that. I'm not sure, but nonetheless,
how about this? Puka Nakaku.
Yeah, and Tutu
how about
Atwell,
this? The kid from BYU.
Right, the kid from BYU, and also Tutu Atwell. They drafted him, but I'm paying attention to Matthew Stafford's health right now. He's dealing with a hip, and you know what quarterbacks are built from the ground up. If his hip isn't right, those passes are either going to sail or they're going to come short. So you got to take advantage of turnover opportunities.
Absolutely, man. Hey, Tone, great stuff as always. Tone's going to join us, by the way, Monday through Friday at 3:30 each and every single day.
Oh, yeah, by the way, we got to announce the Hooters winner, Sills.
Let's get the Hooters
Let's do it right now, man. Let's do it.
Here we go. Hey, Nick, congratulations to you. And Israel, congratulations to
you.
Nick
Hummer, Israel
you are
Carrillo.
This week's Hooters gift certificate winners. Hey, Tone, that thing has been killing it, hasn't it? People emailing them in.
I get a lot of emails, man. So some people send emails like 2 or 3 times.
I love it, man. So we'll start the emails again tomorrow. Definitely. So we really appreciate everybody. Those are our winners. Gift certificates will be mailed out between 7 and 14 days. Fantastic stuff, Tone. Thank you so much, my friend.
Yes, sir. It's always a pleasure. I appreciate you.
You got it, man. Don't forget also our good friends at Hooters who are putting that on for us. The 40th anniversary, the official home of the National Football Show with Big Sills here. 7 locations in the Northeast area. All you do is go to northeasthooters.com to find one of the locations nearest you to experience what I've been talking about for 40 years. That's right. If you don't want to go into the places for like tonight's Monday Night Football game, Giants and Seahawks in the Meadowlands, all you have to do is go to HootersToGo.com. Experience one of the 40-year traditions. Tuesdays, buy 10 wings, get 10 boneless. Wing Wednesdays. How about this? 1983 all you can eat. It's a 40-year tradition. NortheastTutors.com. That's NortheastTutors.com. And when you roll into any one of the Hooters, do me a favor, tell them Big Sil sent you.
Yo.